Motivating Radio, your source for I Feel Great information.
My first comeback was my first marriage with my husband, which fell apart, and I used solo travel as the antidote to figure out who I was and where I wanted to go. So I'm a big proponent of traveling by yourself as women so we can actually reconnect with ourselves. So travel's my therapy. And then my next book, Body, Mind, and Solo, is actually about what has happened over the last few years in my second marriage and with myself, and how I had to take responsibility for my own behavior in my marriage after my husband had an affair, and what that meant to me as a woman. One of the things that I noticed, especially that women do, we have a tendency of, it's kind of a double punch. First, we take responsibility for everything that's happening in everybody else's world around us, right? So we're running on a treadmill that we can't get off of. And number two, to get off of the treadmill, to take responsibility for how our life ended up that way. Take some time to go into that dark cave and spend some time by yourself. We cannot grow plants until we put them in the dark, get them moist, and leave them there for a few weeks. And so I think that we forget how important that dark place is, because we basically want to get out of it as quickly as possible. I look at all the times in my life when I actually made the biggest change and the biggest growth, and that's when my face was planted firmly in the mud. You know what? I cannot get any lower than this unless I kill myself, which that would be 6 feet lower than I am right now. So all I can do is stand up. And yes, I'm a little bit muddy, and yes, things are a little bit sticky right now, but there's no other place I can go. I have nothing to lose, and those are when the biggest changes were made in my life. I remember when I was going through a really rough patch with my current husband, and I looked at him, therapy, and I said, I would rather live under a bridge in a ditch than continue this relationship the way that it is. And the day that I said that, that's when all the change started to happen, because I was, one, taking responsibility for my own behavior. Two, I was realizing that this relationship, the dynamic within the relationship, was not going to continue. I was not going to be one of the people that would enable bad behavior. I believe that change happens through individuals, and that if I could give women the tools to, number one, see a new country and a new culture up close and personal, then we're going to have change at a global level. Number two, I think traveling by yourself is fun. You get to be whoever you want to be. If you want to be Samantha from Sex and the City, you can be. If you can recreate yourself in such an instant. So I wanted to give women the tools to recreate themselves on a global level in a short amount of time. So that's my goal.
You are listening to Motivating Radio.